As he said, a lot of people love to hate me. Not me personally. And part of me thinks I should have brought a Kevlar vest to wear with the hat. Actually, my role and mission is one common theme everybody has before, during, after disasters, and so on and so forth. You are already creating records and information. The thing about disasters and emergencies is you have all this stuff going on. You need to share critical information. My issue is, and where my office comes from, is the aftermath. After everything has settled down, what are you doing with all that shared information? It needs to be captured. It needs to be preserved. Part of the mission of the archives, and I actually work for Washington State Archives, which is a division of the Office of the Secretary of State, and I technically work in records management. In fact, I'm a certified records manager. So we're actually not the records police, though. It's our mission, and part of the archives mission, is to centralize and preserve information for the future so that we can share it for future generations. Now, how many here went through Mount St. Helens? A lot of folks here. Have you all heard of Mount St. Helens? Just making sure. So let's do some time travel back 1980s. How did we do business then? How do we notify people? What happened back then? TV and radio. Paper records were generated, something you can touch and feel. And we're lucky at the archives, we've been able to centralize and take in from every agency that was involved in the St. Helens explosion, it's in one place. So in St. Helens hiccups, we get a lot of people coming to our offices doing the research to go back in time to see what happened, what developed, so on and so forth. Are we doing that with our social media communications? Have you been mindful of, you know what, there's important stuff going on here? And being able to capture it and preserve it? Will we be able to do that? How many of you have floppy disks at your desks? How many of you have the drive to read what's on that floppy disk? You do? I'm so sorry, boy, are you behind the times? The CD drives. Pretty soon those will all be cup holders. So please, I'm pleading with you. Yes, social media is a fabulous tool. And we are literally at the verge, well, we're in the middle of a revolution. Think of our American Revolution. What if our founding fathers created the Declaration of Independence using SharePoint? 50 years from now, even 10 years from now, would that information be available for research and to go back and say, wow, look at that? What if give me liberty or give me death was a tweet? 5 years from now, would we be able to bring that back and read it, forward it, and share it? So I'm asking you there again, please be mindful as you go forward. Yes, it's cool and it's great, but it's ever changing, just like the world is. And there are some tips and tools you can do to do this. There's a lot of third-party applications. And government agencies in the state of Washington are required, there's rules for that, folks. 4014, Preservation and Destruction of Public Records. Goes back to 1957. It is not new. And that defines a public record. Actually, there's a laundry list, RCW 1957. Anyway, but to sum it up, the last part of the definition is regardless of physical form or characteristics, and including such copies thereof, made by or received by, two-way street, any agency in the state of Washington regarding the conduct of business. So think about that for a second. Even back in 1957, they were aware times were a-changing. Facebook is going to be old news pretty soon, isn't it? Remember when MySpace was the coolest thing? And now teenagers are yawning about that. Facebook is really cool and a great tool, but now we've got Foursquare and we've got Tumblr. We have all these things that are constantly changing. What doesn't change, though, is the fact that there's going to be a disaster, some kind of emergency. I was listening to that nice young woman talk about the fire. Those poor businesses, I'm hoping that they had backups for their information, because without that information backed up someplace, they're not going to be able to restore and do their business appropriately. In the aftermath of disasters, a lot of people don't consider, has my information been protected? Post-Katrina, there was a huge percentage of businesses that were not able to recover from that because they lost their records and information. If you think about it, and this is going to be a shock to some people, records and information are your most important asset. People come and go. Technologies are changing. But your records and information is what's critical to your current active business. It's critical to your business for the next 5 years, 10 years, and so on and so forth. Records and information are your memory. And once that's gone, what have you got to fall back on? Just think of all those floppy disks. Ooh, anybody have the 8-inch CDs you can now use as Frisbees? So please be mindful going forward. Social media, there again, is a fabulous tool. Our own office loves it. But please be mindful and talk to your IT techs and talk to your users and make sure the critical information is captured. You don't have to keep everything. That's not what it's about. And if you have questions about records management, come talk to me. I am the actual records goddess, as we call it. But it's important to keep your archival, historic, enduring stuff. And our biggest challenge with the electronic information world is being able to do that, because of the rapid changes that tend to happen. Do I even want to mention IBM Selectrix? 1-800-WANG, can you call them, get service? And remember, there was a whole world pre-Windows. So we actually have these huge gaps in information that we're not able to restore or recover, gone forever. They're like the dinosaurs, it's extinct. So there again, I'm going to throw myself on your mercy. Please be mindful as you go forward. It's great to be able to share this critical information, and it's a wonderful, wonderful tool. But there again, begging you, please be mindful and be sure and capture that critical information. And you don't have to be responsible for it forever. That's where Offers comes into play. Call us. We have a digital archive specifically built to take in digital information and preserve it for the future. Anybody have any questions? Have I just shocked you all into speechlessness? Am I up? 10 minutes up? I can't see over there. Are we up? Where's my timekeeper? Right there. Right there? I have 1:40. Okay, I can blather on even more. Here I thought I can literally go on for days if you want me to. Is there a question?
Yeah. How do you archive that?
There, yeah, that upgrade thing.
Can you repeat the question?
I'll repeat the question. How the heck do you do that? How do you capture this information? There are a number of third-party tools out there. There again, it's like a lot of other technology, not really proven. It's kind of like that archival CD thing. You have people, oh, it's gold standard, 75 years. It's like, prove it. Hasn't happened. The governor's office and our own office are using social safe. And at this point, it's worked out pretty well. But that speaks to our challenge of figuring out how do we capture and maintain all this information. And as agencies, and not only public agencies, but private corporations or private business, they also have a need to keep this information because it's their memory as well. But for government agencies, it is a bit of a challenge. There again, everything's changing. It is a moving target. Check out the third-party applications. They're being developed as things come along as well. Like I said, right now, currently, the governor's office, our office, it's called Social Safe. Twitter, there's a product called Twinbox, Twinbox. That is a decent product that you can use as well. Fine, see, you should have shut me up when I had the time. Thank you very much.